The Indiana Hoosiers absolutely dominated in a 55-10 win over Maryland as the run game carried them to a 9-0 start. If you're an Indiana fan, pinch yourself because the Hoosiers team just keeps delivering. Number 2, Indiana steamrolls Maryland 55-10 on the road at SCCU Stadium, improving to 9-0 overall and 6-0 in the Big Ten. Another blowout win for the Hoosiers. We're talking about a 45-point margin here, and since that epic win at Oregon, they've outscored Michigan State, UCLA, and now Maryland by a combined 120 points against those three teams. So this isn't a fluke. This is a juggernaut. Here at JR's Big Ten Football News, we cover the biggest Big Ten storylines, news, rumors, give plenty of credit to the Indiana Hoosiers. So Indiana Hoosier fans, Indiana football fans, help us out here. We gave you a ton of praise last week coming out of that game, and it feels like it should be a daily thing right now. So like, subscribe, tell your friends. I appreciate your support, and the way that I know to make more videos about Indiana is to get more views on these Indiana videos. So back to the game. So let's be real. All right, we were very positive, but this did not start perfectly for Indiana. Fernando Mendoza, your Heisman hopeful, throws a pick in the third play from scrimmage in the game. You can argue that it was more Surratt's fault and there was maybe something that happened there with his injury on that play than it was Mendoza's fault. But regardless, it happened, and it's going to show up in the stat sheet. Maryland's offense couldn't do anything, taking over at the Indiana 12. The stadium was rocking, and Terrapin fans were smelling blood, but the defense did their job, 3 and out, and the Maryland had to settle for a field goal to go up 3-0. Then Indiana goes 3 and out, sack stuffed in the draw. They look kind of shaky. You could feel the kind of uh-oh vibes, right? My father-in-law, I was with him during that moment, and I told him what was going on, and he told me that he was actually worried about this game a little bit. So Maryland had chances to make it a game early. Like, this was their opportunity, but here's where champions separate themselves. Indiana responded like you've never seen. They score on their next 8 drives, 6 touchdowns, 2 field goals, boom, 20-3 at halftime, and it snowballs from there. That early adversity was such fuel for this team. Curt Cignetti's crew flipped the script, and Maryland never touched them again. Now, let's zero in on what won this game. It was the run game. Holy cow, Indiana racked up 367 rushing yards to Maryland's pathetic 36 rushing yards. That's not just dominance, that is obliteration. They pounded the rock 52 times, no sacks against. They straight bullied the Terps in this game on their own turf. Kalen Black led the charge with 110 yards on 14 carries, including a filthy 31-yard touchdown burst in the third quarter. Roman Hemby, the stud transfer from Maryland, dropped 88 yards on 18 carries against his old team. It was a revenge tour, revenge game, whatever you want to call it, for them, especially with the news coming out this week that Maryland just decided not to pay Roman Hemby. Well, Indiana did, and it seems to be working out pretty well for them. So, Maryland might want to reconsider some of that stuff. And then Kobe Martin caps it with an 80-yard day and a 1-yard TD plunge late. Nico Radishik nailed field goals from 20 and 46 to salt it away. Maryland stacked the box, tried to kill the pass and RPOs, but Mendoza said it best post-game. He said, quote, "They gave a lot of depth. They opened up the run game." And when you open up the run game like that, boom, 367 yards later, it is game over. This is a balanced team with a team that's led by a QB who isn't mad if he doesn't get all the stats. He just wants to win. And when the pass was bottled up, the ground attack took over. No reliance on the Heisman hopeful player. That's national title football team type of stuff. Now, this game might ding Fernando Mendoza's Heisman campaign a bit. He was 14-21, 201 yards, a TD pass, a rushing TD. It was solid. This was not a bad game. This was just not one that you would normally see somebody go up for in the Heisman voting. But he was not his normal kind of Superman, right? His backup brother Alberto even came in for a 6-yard TD to dart up Jonathan Brady, his throw there. But here's the beauty: Indiana wins by 45 without Mendoza going nuclear, and without star receiver Elijah Surratt, who had catches in 46 straight games that led the nation streak. He cramps up with a hamstring. Hopefully, it was just a cramp. That's what they were talking about in the first quarter. He was out pretty much the rest of the game. I don't think I saw him come in back there one more time. And Omar Cooper Jr. stepped up with 7 grabs, 86 yards, and a 22-yard score as well. The Hoosiers dropped 55 anyway. The national media is going to do was going to do everything they could to try and say Indiana struggled, but showing you that they can blow out a Big Ten foe on the road without their top wide receiver and without their Heisman hopeful quarterback playing hero ball is ultimately good news. Indiana's proving they're built for overcoming adversity. The defense deserves a shout out as well. They were missing All-American linebacker Aiden Fisher, but it was no problem. Isaiah Jones got the green dot and did exceptional once again. They forced 5 turnovers. Caden Turner, Lewis Moore, they had back-to-back picks in the second quarter. Moore's grab was a highlight reel moment, and then the third quarter was a massacre. Devin Boykins stripped Malik Washington, scores from 32 yards out. 2 plays later, another fumble. Jamar Sharp jars it up, and Byron Baldwin recovers it in Terps territory. Roman Hemby waltzes in for a touchdown from 16 yards out. 3 touchdowns in less than 2 minutes of game clock. Reminded me a little bit of Reggie Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds type of deal, right? A lot of points in very little time. So from 20-10 to 41-10, Maryland's freshman quarterback Malik Washington had 2 picks, a fumble, return for a TD. Cignetti said after the game, the defense has all year long risen to the occasion. Truly, I think this win is very impressive. A lot of people are going to try to dig them, say, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. This is a very impressive win. This is an elite win, in my opinion. Maryland at home has been trouble for some elite Big Ten teams in the past. In 2023, they gave Michigan all they could handle and a bit of a nail-biter there. In 2019 and 2018, Ohio State barely escaped, and the Terrapins start fast, fed off the crowd, and said not to. And Indiana said not today to the Terps fans. Indiana never let them hang past that one time when they got a little bit of a lead, and IU led in total yards by nearly 300 total yards in this one. Alberto Mendoza in the backup got time. The backup Alberto Mendoza got time in the fourth quarter, and with a 55-10 final score, the Hoosiers cruised to their second straight 9-0 start. That first time it happened in 9-0. Program history last year, second time 2 years in a row. So they've won 3 of their last 5 on the road, and they have Penn State next Saturday at Beaver Stadium on the road. The difference from last year, though, is that the depth is being tested more with Fisher out, Wyatt not playing, and star players not being heroes. They were a real contender. They are a real contender for not only the Big Ten championship, but for the national championship, no matter what any overinflated SEC fans try to say. Hoosier Nation, this isn't your year. It's one of the many great years you will have in the future with Cignetti leading the program. They say this is your year when it's like out of the normal and it's only going to happen once. You got more years in you to do this, especially with Curt Cignetti there at the helm. Adversity is like breakfast for this team, and I am thoroughly impressed with what they were able to do. Mendoza will get back to his form here soon. I am confident in that, and injured players will come back into the lineup, and I find myself more confident now than I was before. What do you think? Are you satisfied? Worried? What do you think about the injury situations? Drop a like if you're an Indiana fan. Subscribe for more Indiana breakdowns and hit the comments. Let me know. Can this team go 12-0? Can this team go 13-0? Can this team win a national championship? Yes, yes, yes. They can do all of that. They'll have to make it happen. Thanks for listening. Have a good one.